light years better than they were last year. Like Kenny Pickett was a quarterback who couldn't push the ball down the field. Maybe he could, but he just didn't feel like he should. Or you could blame it on Matt Canada and all that you want, but I'm sure most of his play calls were because he didn't believe in this quarterback being able to make plays downfield. So he tried to call a lot of shorter throws and all that. But when you have, George Pickens, one of the most talented receivers in the NFL, if given a chance, that's where he thrives is downfield. And now you bring in Russell Wilson, who's always been a really good deep ball thrower. So this will help stretch the field a little bit. I know they did trade Deontay Johnson, so that's kind of a hit to the receiving core. But free agency's not done yet. You still have the draft to address some of those issues. But you're bringing in a veteran who's won before, who's probably pissed off and a little motivated to, make some plays out here to show like I still got some game. Like that whole year, those last 2 years in Denver with Hackett and then with Sean Payton, it's got to weigh on you. Like I don't think that he played all that bad last year, but when you're not winning, of course the quarterback's going to take the blame, and that's what they did. They tried to do that. So I think coming over to Pittsburgh, where he's got Mike Tomlin on his side, who I mean everybody knows Mike Tomlin. He's like the cool guy in the barbershop. He'll talk to everybody. He'll want to like, make friends with everybody. And he wants to win. He has a program. And I feel like Russ fits that timeline pretty well for what they're trying to do because they won 9 games last year without a starting quarterback, basically. Because Pickett's a backup. Rudolph is borderline backup slash practice squad material. So I think this team's going to be a lot better. And then, I mean, you can gamble with Justin Fields. I think he's like almost insurance at this point. I don't know if they actually see him as the future quarterback after Russ. Who knows? If Russ plays lights out, they'll probably sign an extension. This is kind of similar to Baker Mayfield with Tampa Bay last year, where he had that 1 year deal and played his ass off and got a new contract. So um, it should be an interesting storyline to see as the season goes on because if they're not winning, kind of similar to this year, I think they might sit him and try to see what they have in Justin Fields because the kid is talented. It's just he was in a terrible spot in Chicago that did him no favors. They kind of sabotaged his career to start. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I, I don't know if you told me we are going to take this away, but I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today about quarterback play, young quarterbacks in the league, and how much we should be blaming bad situations on their play, or yeah, blaming the bad situations they're in for their play versus the play of the quarterback. And Justin Fields came up, and while I understand that the Chicago Bears haven't done a great job protecting him with the old line, they haven't been that bad. But they haven't done a great job with putting a bunch of weapons around him. They got him DJ Moore, um, and they also traded for Claypool, which just didn't work out. They made attempts. I think the thing with Justin Fields that really concerns me is that he doesn't make the right play from the pocket even 70 to 60% of the time. You know what I mean? I just taking what defense gives you. Like, oh, they're in cover two. I'm just gonna take this little pass right here. Like, I'm gonna take this little, short stick route right here. Like, just making the simple play over and over and over again, right? And making teams pay, making those plays. And I think that's a processing problem. I saw a stat yesterday on ESPN late night that he and Russell Wilson actually lead the NFL in most sacks taken in the last couple of years. That they're right there. Um, and that's a processing problem. The ball's not getting out on time. And that's why Sean Payton was losing it on Russell Wilson over there because he's all about timing and rhythm. And you have Drew Brees, you just use the ball getting to where it needs to go on time and making the defense pay for whatever the hole is in that particular defense or that look they're giving you. And Justin Fields is so similar to Russell Wilson in that way. The reason why I'm a little worried about this move is while it's a great value signing, you traded nothing for him. How I don't know who's in Pittsburgh right now that's going to help him develop into the guy that can be a great processor of defenses and make the right decisions over and over again. We already know that Justin Fields can make the extraordinary play. But what makes a great quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is that, and the thing people don't talk about with Mahomes is we always look at the left-handed passes, the crazy scrambles, all that stuff. But it's about beating a team from the pocket over and over and over again and making the right decision and putting the ball at the right place at the right time. And I feel like Mahomes doesn't get enough credit for how good he is at that. He's surgical, almost in a way that Brady was. It's like it's very comparable. But then he has the amazing aspect of the game where he can just make game breaking plays. You know what I mean? And just freestyle and make something crazy happen too. You got to have a little bit of both. You got to be able to hit the home runs, but hit the singles too. And I feel like Justin Fields doesn't hit singles at all. And I've seen some plays. I mean, I remember seeing was it the first play of the year last year? A bubble screen he threw to DJ Moore, where he threw it at his feet. He picked the ball off the ground and still housed it because it was well designed play. So he just took the blocks, and DJ Moore is a great player. But you threw it at his feet. A pass you threw out, maybe you threw it to your left. It didn't even have to travel that far. And so those are my concerns with him, just the accuracy and the ability to process just basic defensive principles that teams are running and make the right decisions over and over again. That makes a great quarterback. And so I have my concerns about him long term because of that. And I think that's the reason why I saw the Bears run the ball so much last year when he was behind center. They ran the ball a ton, right? It was like Tyson Bagent took over, and they won games with him just handing the ball off, and then Fields came back, and there was basically no difference at all. They just kept running the football. So I'm very interested to see what they do in Pittsburgh. Obviously, you can run the ball a lot and rely on your defense. And he's better than Pickett. He is, because he'll push the ball downfield and make some of those wild plays that Pickett can't even dream of making with those small hands. But I just have my concerns about Fields long term as a great quarterback and a guy you can extend his contract and be comfortable with as a franchise quarterback because of the fact that you don't process defense. That's all. That's all.
I think it's interesting though too that he only went for like a 6 round pick. It was almost like, here, take him. Like,
Hmm.
we've already moved on, and everybody's saying no to
Right.
what we want. We asked for I don't even know if they even started with a first. Probably they were like, hell no, and hung up the phone. But if they started with a second, they're like, nah, that's too heavy. I'm sure for the Eagles, they asked for like a fourth or something. They're like, for a backup, I'm not doing that. You could just take a quarterback in the draft, and you'd have less of a headache, and there'd be less questions. It's almost like the combo of bringing in Cam Newton all those years, like a couple years ago, and it's like he'd be a distraction. Like Justin Fields is kind of a distraction to any of these teams that are just looking for a backup, because he's always going to be asked the questions about starting and being the guy and if he should be in there and all this stuff. So at least they went ahead and said, no, he's going to be the backup. There's no competition. Like, he's going to back up Russell Wilson, and that's that. So they kind of nipped this in the bud before training camp, because you can't do this. You got to let this kid kind of sit and watch. And he never developed. That's the thing. He never was given the chance to develop. He was never given the chance to just sit and watch. That's the thing. These guys are taken so high in the draft. There's pressure on them once they're picked to play right away. Bryce Young, maybe he should have sat, but because he's the number one overall pick, you put him in there too soon. And you look at the Panthers last year when Bryce Young was hurt, Andy Dalton's in there, offense looked so much better. So I feel like he could have learned from sitting. And Justin Fields never got that chance because the Bears, for whatever reason, thought like, all right, this guy is pro ready. I mean, for every CJ Stroud, you got a Justin Fields. Like, not everybody's going to be ready to start right away. So um, maybe he gets another chance somewhere else. Maybe it's in Pittsburgh, but he shouldn't play this year. Like, there's no way you can play him this year. And I hope for his career, this helps him. Because this doesn't have to be the end. I mean, everybody's looking at it like it's the end because they want him to be a backup. All these teams only wanted him to be a backup. But like, this could be something that projects him to a longer career. Because like, who was it? Vince Young had a great career at Texas. Rookie of the year, looked promising. Injuries happened, then he just didn't play well and fizzled out. Does he want to be like that, or does he want to kind of take the, I don't even want to say Doug Flutie, Warren Moon route, where it's you've got to kind of build your way up into being like a starting quarterback in the league? Because for some reason, everybody wants the gratification of their pick ASAP, and sometimes it can't be that way.
To Miles, I'll say this too because I feel like y'all not good. The people who listen to this podcast aren't going to get this on first take tomorrow morning when they're talking about it. You ain't going to get this. They're never going to say what I'm about to say right now. And what I'm gonna tell you right now is, I think the reason why um, this mentality and mindset around getting the most out of your draft pick, if you're a quarterback, your first round quarterback or second round quarterback or whatever, early, is because the rookie scale contracts and how they work. You're on a clock right away for these guys to be good. And I think the reason why Justin Fields, um, was traded for so little is because he's at the end of that rookie scale contract. So you have to make a decision on his contract long term, right? You're gonna have to pay him. So you're really only trading for a rental if you think about it. I'm not sure if he's in his 5th year option or not at this point. I'm not even sure if it was picked up or not. But I know that he's at the end, and so teams got critical of his flaws, the flaws I just spoke about for a while on here, and I think that's why he didn't go for much. And I think that's the issue that they had. So you don't have. I think if he was in his 2nd year of his rookie scale contract, a team would trade more for him and be more willing to take him on because you have longer to develop him while he's still cheap, and you could still build your team and spend money other places. You know what I mean? It's hard now with the cap being where it is, even though it's rising, to pay a quarterback big dollars and obviously have a good football team around them. That's why, which is why Pat Mahomes restructured his contract so they can go get Hollywood Brown. It's all correlated, right? Um, so I just feel like when you talk about the Justin Fields situation, it's nuanced because he's at the end of that rookie scale deal. He won't be cheap anymore if you're going to keep him, right? And he has Dave Mogetta as a GM, an agent. So he's gonna get he's gonna get something representative of a good contract. He's gonna get something. That guy's a good agent. So you just take all those things into account, and that's why he went for so little ultimately. But I did hear also that he had options, and other teams were offering a little bit more, and they gave him the option to choose where he wanted to go, which tells you how much he thinks of Russell Wilson, by the way. That he chose to go there. So, yeah, I think it's interesting, but I think the rookie skill contracting is really, really an interesting conversation to have about team building in the NFL and the philosophies of teams, how they want to move forward, and also why, if you are a Giants fan hanging on to the dream that Daniel Jones will be here past next year, the Brian Byrne extension they just gave him 50 whatever it is for $40 million a year, 30 million, whatever, that tells you that their quarterback's not going to be here. That's not a trade you make if you have a quarterback you plan on paying $40 million a year in the future. So just team building stuff. It seems nerdy, but it's the NFL.